Sunday, their on-the-road win against SMU. I think there's great things looking ahead for this program under his leadership.
A wet and rainy Saturday night in Blacksburg, but we are finally underway. Originally scheduled for 7 o'clock, but 9:15 on the East Coast, we get underway. And Tori, what's important for both of these teams in the opening minutes?
I think it's just establishing a rhythm. You know, they've been sitting around waiting in the locker rooms. It's just a matter of kind of knocking the nerves off of them and just settling in and establishing a rhythm. They've got to get used to the field. They've had a few minutes to warm up. They've got to make sure that their body is square behind the ball. The ball's going to skip. It's going to bounce. It's going to be tough to control. So they got to make sure they have numbers around it and they're really taking care of it.
And two teams that are on different trajectories in the month of September. You've got NC State, who started the season slow, 0-5-1 in August, but really since September has hit, they've picked up points in 4 out of their last 5. Meanwhile, for the Hokies, still searching for their first victory in the month of September. Just one tie, the only points that Chugger Adair's team has seen in the month of September. Back to Lauren Hargrove, the graduate goalkeeper for Virginia Tech. The Hokies team that's dropped their last 3 ball games, all of which in the ACC. Still searching for their first points in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Meanwhile, for NC State, as you mentioned earlier, Tori, a historic week last week. And an NC State player down on the back line. And Tori, that's the important thing. It's slippery out there. It's wet. You want to make sure no one gets hurt.
And this is going to be tough. Alex Moore, she's such a leader on that back line for that NC State team. You never like to see players go down, especially in conditions such as tonight. She's been such a solid vocal person on that back line, just steady, calm, organization.
So Alex Moore down on the grass. NC State has 25 players on the roster. They have played just 19 players this year, so not a whole lot of depth for the first-year head coach, Gary Higgins. But he's really relied heavily on the starting 12 all year long. A Wolfpack team that, coming off of a tie at Florida against Florida State, Moore's up and smiling. But a big win at SMU last week. So that was Moore. Number 5 in black.
Looks like there was a small collision between her and Anna Weir. Sometimes it's just a little tweak. It's good to see her back up on her feet.
Just over 90 seconds into this one.
I think some of the keys for Virginia Tech, I mean, it's tough because Virginia Tech, they've always been a tough team, physical team. They play teams very close. I mean, a lot of games, it's only been 1 point here and there. Unfortunately, their game against Wake Forest in a mere minute and a half, they gave up 2 goals. So that's how close they've been in these games with their opponents. They're a quality team. It's just a matter of taking care of the ball, not giving up soft turnovers. And I think the key for tonight, they're still really searching to establish themselves in the ACC. They need to come away tonight with 3 points if they can help it. And I think one of the keys to that is being able to exploit NC State on counterattacks and putting a lot of pressure on their backs as NC State tries to build out.
Sends this one over the cage and past the end line. Well, a Virginia Tech team that started the season hot. They won their first 3 matches, but ever since the calendar has flipped to September, Virginia Tech's looked for answers and just not been able to find them. Just 6 goals over their last 5, and they've only had the 1 tie in the month of September. How does that affect the morale, Tori?
Well, I think it's tough. Anytime you're winning, things are easy. When you're losing, it really forces a lot of self-introspection. But this is a team that's got a lot of talent. They have suffered some injuries. One of the key players that is out is Eliana Salama. She was a transfer from SMU. She, in fact, leads the team in goals, but yet she hasn't played since August. She's a phenomenal player, great personality, and they've really kind of missed what she brought to the field offensively.
back into the goalie box, and you can just see the water kicking off of that ball as Pritapis slides on it, the defending ACC Defensive Player of the Week. And just look at this, Tori. That's a lot of water.
And what I really appreciate this as a former defender myself is Yuna Aoki just sealing it off, making sure that there's no player that can step around. She shielded that ball all the way to make sure that it was secure in Pritapis' hands, and that's the sign of a really good defender.
Aoki, one of the staples on the defensive front for NC State.
She had such a terrific game against Florida State. I mean, Florida State loves to build down that right side, and they were met often with a brick wall. And Yuna Aoki, she's a tough defender, and she's going to be really pivotal for them tonight on that back line.
There's a reason that she hasn't missed a minute all year for NC State. Throwing for the Wolfpack, it's Brooklyn Holt, the senior, Wake Forest, North Carolina native. Trying to center this one, and Hargrove able to field it. Lauren Hargrove, the graduate student, returns to Virginia Tech after a historic season last year. One of the best goalkeepers in Virginia Tech program history, trying to spark the offense here for the Hokies.
With NC State playing that 4-2-3-1, the key, the areas that Virginia Tech's going to want to try to exploit are those wide areas, those wide channels, quick transitions, being able to flip the field, move it from one side to the other. And that's one thing this Virginia Tech team does really well. Their ability to transition from defense into their offensive shape. That's where they've been able to catch teams off guard. And I think that's going to be one of the key tactical elements to having success tonight against NC State. NC State's a very well-disciplined team. They like to stay in their shape. I think that was evident against their performance with Florida State. They were all connected, staying together, making sure that the play stays in front of them. And you can see that tonight in their organization, the lines that they have on the field, the way they're shifting together. Very well coached, very well disciplined team defensively.
And we'll roll out of play out by that NC State bench, and we will see referee reach into the pockets. Card issued to the Wolfpack, and Gary Higgins in disbelief. But a Wolfpack team that's really turned things around in the month of September. Very different story to Virginia Tech. You mentioned the discipline, Tori. Just 3 goals allowed in the month of September. That's really been the reason that they've been able to pick up points in 4 out of their last 5 matches. So Aoki gets the yellow cards. And you mentioned, Tori, her physicality. Just picks up the yellow card a little too handsy for a referee's liking. Into the box, finds it to the near wing. Tries to get the final touch. It's headed and just over the crossbar.
And Anna Weir coming crashing on that back post. That's something that Virginia Tech's done very well, is making sure they have runners in the box on that back post. Anna Weir does it well, just mistimes it, gets a little bit above it. But otherwise, that was a nice look. Good effort by Samantha de Guzman to get that cross off. Or excuse me, I believe that was actually Hannah Patchen with that cross, but good effort.
Anna Weir, her 32nd shot on the season, top 10 in the ACC in that department. One of the key returners for this Virginia Tech team. Hokies returned their top 3 point getters from a season ago in Natalie Mitchell, Taylor Price, and Anna Weir. It's really been the freshmen finding their identities early in the season. Hannah Patchen, as you mentioned, the player sending that one into the middle. But it really feels like high school players have just been able to really thrive in their first year of college soccer. Looking for the through ball, and it's into the gloves of Pritapis.
And that was a nice look to play that ball long, direct, just break that line of defense by sending it over the top. Anna Weir trying to time that run, but she's met with a pretty big stop in Pritapis.
5'9" senior out of Clemens, North Carolina. Reigning ACC Defensive Player of the Week. It's going to be a tough task for the Hokies to break the brick wall and cage for the Wolfpack.
And you can see the space that Virginia Tech is just trying to exploit as NC State puts pressure on their backs and steps up. That creates some pockets, some space for them to kind of play in between there. So as NC State's got 3 midfielders, that's with the space that they're trying to exploit on the outside.
And how is the rainy conditions going to affect the pace of play of this match?
I think this is one of those games where you got to be ready. You got to be on your toes because there's going to be a lot of mishits. The ball's going to skip. If I'm a coach, I'm telling my team to drive the ball down to the corner and send a hard-driven ball across inside the box. Little misredirection. It's very possible that a defender could misclear it. It's going to end up in the box, but you got to have numbers all around the ball. We know that the goalkeepers in this type of environment, when it's wet, the ball's going to skip. It's going to pop out. That's where you got to have players ready to crash the goal and get any second opportunity that pops out.
Daisy Duda on the free kick attempt. A freshman for the Wolfpack. And a fourth freshman sends this one into the box. And it's headed away. An NC State team that scored just 10 goals on the season. That's last in the ACC. 5 of which coming off the boot of Jade Bordelou. Bordelou, the junior out of Canada, wearing that number 13 in black jersey. He's really been the offensive spark plug for the Wolfpack. But opportunities are going to be hard to come by here in ACC play.
And I think that's one thing that both of these teams realize is that, you know, while they're trying to generate as many shot opportunities as they can, anytime you get 2 quality opponents against each other, especially in the ACC, you may not have the shot production that you're used to having in non-conference play. It's going to come down to those key pivotal moments like set pieces, corner kicks, your ability to capitalize and finish on those moments.
Both teams averaging just 8 shots a game in ACC play. The Wolfpack 1-1-1 in their 3 ACC matches. The Hokies 0-3, still searching for their first points in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Marshall and the Hokies defense able to knock it loose. Possession stays with the Wolfpack. Brooklyn Holtz into the box, missing the attacker on it, was looking for Bordelou.
And that was an absolutely fantastic opportunity. You could see the play come in, and they recognized that they had Brooklyn Holt making that overlapping run on the outside, just changing the point of attack, and then she serves it back into the backside of the 18, again, causing Virginia Tech's team to have to shift. That was absolutely phenomenal looks by NC State.
Aoki retreats it back to the goalkeeper. So far, just 1 shot in the game. It was that header from Anna Weir on the centering pass. 2 very good defenses. Something's got to give in the 4th match of ACC play. Maddie Buteau, the freshman on the defensive line. Another one of those Canada natives out of Quebec. Part of a big freshman class for Virginia Tech. 11 freshmen for Chugger Adair, the largest of any of his 5 classes. Wolfpack with some momentum. Duda to the near wing. Here's Holtz. Physical play, and it's knocked loose by the Hokies.
And that was a good touch by Sims, just a little out in front of her. But I'll tell you what, Ellie Robinson did a really good job to put her body between the player and the ball, sealing it off, negating any opportunity NC State was going to have.
Now the Hokies with some momentum the other way. Along that far wing. Try sending it into the box. Mitchell fighting off contacts. It's a giant puddle around that box on the left side. Sent in and headed off.
And that was tough for Patchen because you could tell she was just trying to get the ball out from underneath her. She wanted to crack that shot herself. However, that ball stuck too close to her. So in other words, she had to turn around and find feet, but she did a good job to maintain possession of it for her team. Quick decision over the ball.
And we were talking, Tori, it felt like one side of the field got a lot more rain than the other side. This one box on the left side occupied by Pritapis. Feels like a giant puddle. You can see it every time the ball enters it.
Well, and that makes it tough defending and attacking because you don't know at what point is the ball going to stick. You're anticipating it to have a certain level of pace on it, and it might get stuck in a puddle. Or as we saw Pritapis, she's trying to push it out from underneath her so she can take a shot, and it gets stuck. So that's where it's going to be difficult for these players to make those adjustments.
Right on cue. That ball almost just got stuck on the top of the box.
And so it's key, instead of playing on top of the box as it gets stuck, the spaces that they're going to want to try to execute or play into are those far corners. If they can play into the pockets and then serve it across, they're going to have a better opportunity. If I'm a coach, I'm telling my players, hey, let's try to stay outside of the top of the 18 because that's where that ball is going to get stuck. And then at that point, it also puts players at risk for injury, and that's not something this Virginia Tech can afford anymore of this season.
Hokies were looking for Taylor Price. She was offsides, so we'll be possession to the Wolfpack. Just about 15 minutes gone here on this little delayed start from Thompson Field. Originally scheduled for 7 o'clock on the East Coast. We got going at 9:15. Droplets of rain fall off the ball as it's kicked out of play. And throw into the Hokies.
I love the 1v1 battle there. Erica Roberts just does a fantastic job taking on Kylie Marshall. Stands her up, does a quick little step over, little scissors there, freezes her defender, and it's the accelerating speed around her that's exceptional, but nice tackle there by Kylie Marshall. Wins NC State a corner kick. And again, as we mentioned, especially in conference play, you got to capitalize on your opportunities. And in an environment like tonight where the ball can skip around, you got to make sure you have numbers crashing the goal as much as possible. Create that hesitancy in Hargroves.
Duda sends it in on the corner kick. Looking to get it to Bordelot on the near side. Hokie applies the pressure. Just kind of chips it back into the box where Lauren Hargrove will corral it.
And Hargrove is so good in the air, and just the way that she's able to come up after, you can see immediately her players back down. She's been stellar for this Virginia Tech team.
Hargrove coming off of 5 saves against Wake Forest in the team's last match. But all the way 9 days ago down in Winston-Salem, a 2-1 victory for the Demon Deacons. Here's Mary Frances Sims. It's punched loose by Ellie Robertson. Freshman tried to clear it, but Emily Wong is there to keep pressure on for the Wolfpack. Good little pass. Mary Frances Sims shoots this one just wide of the nets.
And what an opportunity for NC State. Sims does a fantastic job of taking that touch, sealing off her defender, able to center it across, and it narrowly missed the feet of Jade Bordelot, who was crashing. You can see there, if Bordelot had just gotten to the left side of her defender, I believe she would have gotten on the end of it, but look at that little touch. She slots it across. What I would have liked to have seen from NC State is to have a third player in that box. So they're missing that back post run. If they had somebody on that back post, that could have been a conversion for them.
Between Bordelot and Sims, they contribute 7 of the team's 10 goals this season, 5 of which from the junior out of Canada and the other 2 to the junior out of Mississippi. Hokies with an opportunity, rifles it just high over the crossbar.
But this is what I love about this Virginia Tech team. I mean, it's like next play. I mean, they almost got scored on right there. They turn around and they're taking it right to their team. And that's something they've done very well, is keeping their heads up. I mean, this is a fantastic team. And as I said, they are very good in transition. Their ability to transition from defense to offense, they do that in an instant. And that's how they can flip this NC State team tonight.
It was de Guzman applying the pressure, the junior Virginia native. Scored a goal when these teams met in 2023 at Thompson Field. The last time these teams went at it here in Blacksburg. A year ago, they had a 0-0 draw out in Raleigh. 20th all-time meeting between these clubs. Hokies with a 12-5-2 lead in the season, in the overall all-time series. Tried chipping it into the corner. Duda using the speed, and
that was smart play right there. Daisy Duda, you could see the heel flex. She was kind of hoping that the Virginia Tech player had her feet closed together. Unfortunately, she didn't. Had she had, that could have been potentially a corner kick. So that was a heads-up play there, trying to win her team a corner kick. Kylie Marshall knew better, right? Knew what she was going after. She's been solid on that back line for Virginia Tech. Just her leadership, especially when she's had a couple of freshmen. I mean, anytime you're a freshman and you're starting on that back line, there's immense pressure. And it's a very fast learning curve. You don't get a lot of room to make mistakes, and she's done a fantastic job in aiding those players along with her.
And the Hokies have been able to adjust with that. 11 of the 12 incoming Virginia Tech players this year made their debuts in the first 2 games of the season. So a lot of new faces around this team through the early parts and now into the middle part of the 2025 season. Anna Patchen was trying to power her way through. One of the 11 freshmen on this Hokie team. Back to Ellie Robertson. We'll just punch this one over to the goalkeeper, and Protapis has the easy stop.
And, you know, I will say this is kind of playing to NC State's favor at the moment, because the water on that side of the field is slowing down the tempo that Virginia Tech wants to play at. I mean, it's, you know, especially when you're watching Patchen, she's trying to take these touches. She's really good in tight spaces and having that explosive speed, and she's just not able to deliver that tonight due to the water, the environment. So I think this is actually kind of playing to NC State's favor at the moment.
And how important is it for the Wolfpack to put up a goal in the first half then?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, especially at home, at Virginia Tech's home field, if they can get a goal early, that's just going to give them the more confidence that they need to play. I mean, keep in mind, they're coming off a very strong performance this past weekend. They won against SMU on the road and then turned around and hosted Florida State at home and was nearly winning that game 33 seconds in overtime and ended up tying the game. I mean, it felt like a loss to the team because they'd played so hard, but
they almost ended Florida State's 63 consecutive match with a goal streak. First sub of the game, and it goes to NC State. Fien Leidecker will come in for Erica Roberts. Sophomore out of the Netherlands, taking over for the redshirt junior. Transfer from East Carolina. But a Wolfpack team that scored just 3 goals in first halves this season. The other 7 have come in the second half. So a team that's used to really bearing down and playing a full 90-minute effort. The defensive first mentality. Meanwhile, the Hokies 24 goals on the season. That's 24th nationally through their first 11. A team that struck for just 2 goals over their last 3 matches combined. 3 matches in ACC play. Patchen gets it on over to Marshall. Price tries the give and go.
And just the pressure that NC State is applying to this Hokie team right now is absolutely phenomenal. For our viewers at home, anytime when you're defending a team and you're putting that press on them, when you watch Virginia Tech, the passes, the options that they have, they're having to pass laterally or backwards. Anytime you make a lateral or backwards pass, you're seeing this NC State team advance. They're advancing their team higher up on the field. That just allows them to cause that turnover higher up in their offensive third. The way you break a press is to play more direct. Play those long balls over top. You got to recognize the pressure coming to you. You break that line of defense by serving that ball over the top. So that's something that I would like to see Virginia Tech do more of, is recognize the press and send that ball long over the top for those 1v1 opportunities.
Wolfpack once again suffocating defense.
And I think Ellie Robinson, she's a defender for Virginia Tech. You saw her go all the way into the mid-third of the field chasing her player, Sims. And Sims a very dynamic player, but Ellie Robinson cannot afford to chase her player all the way across halfway line. As a defender, you're going to go with her for a certain point, and then you're going to let her go. She's no longer a threat if she's in the other off the defensive third of your side.
Wolfpack with some momentum to him on that far wing. Bordelot puts the shot up, and it goes in! Off the deflection, and the Wolfpack strike for the first goal, and it's their leading scorer, Jade Bordelot.
And you can just see the disappointment on Virginia Tech, but that was a well-struck ball by NC State, and Bordelot was left floating out up top of the box. She took that shot, and it was the deflection.
Take another look at it, the Wolfpack, Bordelot.
And that's a perfectly slotted ball on top of the 18. Bordelot gets a good, clean look on it, but it's the deflection off the Virginia Tech player's back, and that's just unfortunate. I mean, Hargrove, she was positioned one way. The deflection caused it to go the opposite from what she anticipated. It's just tough for Virginia Tech, but a clean, solid strike by NC State. Here's my question is, how is Virginia Tech going to respond? Because as we already mentioned in the open, this Virginia Tech team needs some points in the ACC. They have yet to get a single point. So even if they come out of tonight with a tie, that's 1 point.
6th goal of the season for the junior out of Quebec, Canada. She has now scored each of the team's last 3 goals. You got to go all the way back to the 11th of September to find a goal scored by an NC State player that's not Jade Bordelot.
But what I like about this NC State team that I'm seeing tonight is their combination play. I mean, that's something that Coach Higgins talked about. He said, you know, we've really been trying to focus on trying to get more players involved into the attack. Obviously, Jade Bordelot, everybody knows who she is. Everybody's going to try to front and back her because she is such a powerhouse up top for her. So how can we take some of the pressure off of her and put some of that responsibility on other people? And we're seeing tonight she's doing a really good job of including other players, getting additional players in the attack, and it's making it difficult for their opposition.
An NC State team still trying to find their identity under the first-year head coach, Gary Higgins, but it helps when you have a player like Bordelot who can really pace the offense for a 2nd year in a row. And the Hokies will now make a call to the bench for their first sub. Julia Tepes will come in for Peyton May. May was the defender where the ball hit off her back and then went into the nets. Now we'll see Tepes, the freshman out of Medford, New Jersey, for her first minutes of this match. NC State team that scored now just 4 goals in first halves this season. Team that's used to finishing strong. The Hokies need to find a response. Robertson will track it down.
And again, that was a really good look by NC State. They had the Virginia Tech team shifting to the left, and at the last minute, they decided to change the point of attack, playing that diagonal ball across where that open channel of space was to play into.
All about creating opportunities, and the Wolfpack struck for our first goal in the 24th minute. There's Buto.
Again, you know, NC State, they don't mind if Virginia Tech keeps possession of the ball as long as they're not advancing across the half field. We call this kind of a mid-block. That's how they're kind of setting up. They're doing their best to keep play in front of them.
Sims getting in the middle of it. Punched out to Weir. Footed pass over to Taylor Price. Guzman keeps it in. Makes a move, looks to center, and through some traffic, will go out of play. Corner kick to the Hokies.
And that's just a lot of effort there by de Guzman. And that's one thing that you're going to get from her time and time again is just that grittiness, that hustle factor. And I think for Virginia Tech, this is an opportunity for them to get players around the ball. We already know that this side of the field is waterlogged. The ball could likely sit. They need to have players crashing in.
First corner kick for the Hokies. And it's booted away. NC State's defense holds strong. All started with Mackenzie Smith, player that came over with Coach Gary Higgins from East Carolina this offseason to NC State's. The defender tripped up on it, still gets a boot on it.
And just great defending by Brooklyn Holt. She lost her balance, but just see that effort of her to try to get that ball out of the box. You can see her communicating. This is the type of organization that NC State has defensively.
Into the box, an attacker just falls down on it. Weir lost her footing. Off of a Wolfpack player, possession stays with Virginia Tech.
And that's Daisy Duda tracking all the way back.
Robertson on the ground, goes just wide.
And not a bad look from Robertson. I don't mind that at all, especially the fact that it was a low-driven ball on the ground. Add in that skip factor. She had a lot of pace on it. Those are the kind of balls that can slip in a match like today. I think for Virginia Tech, I mean, one of the keys that I'd like to see for them is when they win possession of the ball is just do a better job of taking care of it. They've made a couple of careless mistakes in terms of turnovers. They're not executing their passes quite as well as they should. Oftentimes that pass is just a little 1 to 2 yards off and it's going into the feet of NC State. It's making it easy for NC State to stay relevant in this match.
Well, it's a slip and slide on that side of the field. 2 NC State players go down, but the referee, who didn't go sliding on it, threw the flag up and had the offsides against the Hokies. So the ball will go to NC State. Would have been a good little through ball to Taylor Price if it stood.
I think another key to tonight's midfield matchup for Virginia Tech is going to be Ava Arango. She is a very solid player, technical player. She's got great vision, and she's going to be one of those players that can link the play from the back to the front, much like Hannah Patchen. So the two of them together have got to do what they can to get some forward movement and get the outside wing backs into the attack.
Arango, the junior out of Mason, Ohio, in just her 7th match of the season. Through ball has Natalie Mitchell, and she will be offsides. So Natalie Mitchell had a sliver of light on it, but the AR calls her offside.
And in terms of 1v1s, that's the exact player that you want chasing down the ball is Natalie Mitchell. She is so composed in those moments, and you can see she's just a little offsides, but that's the player that you want to target for those 1v1s. She's got such experience. She's able to stay composed in those moments and has the ability to finish with the right surface of the foot. That's why she's been able to be so successful for this Virginia Tech team.
Mitchell coming off of a career-high 90 minutes against Wake Forest in the team's last match. Wolfpack with some momentum just past the head of Duda. Aoki sends this one just wide and high. Well, how about Yuna Aoki, the defender, kind of coming out of nowhere to put the shot on net?
And just the pressure that this NC State team, this Wolfpack team, is applying to Virginia Tech has been immense. I mean, they're getting their defense into the attack. They're putting a lot of pressure. It's causing a lot of confusion for Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's having to work a little bit harder in terms of finding each other's feet. I think for Virginia Tech, they're going to have to do some quick combinations down the side of the field. I think playing direct is going to help them more too, especially as NC State continues to press them higher and higher up onto the field.
A few subs for both teams. Hokies Taylor Lewin and Ella Valente check in, and Sofia Hernandez for the Wolfpack. Patchen. Trading back to Arango. 1-0 NC State leads thanks to a Jade Bordelot goal in the 24th minute. Whistle turns it over to NC State.
And with that substitution, Taylor Lewin coming in on the far left-hand side, it frees Hannah Patchen up to play in a more central position. That's a position she's a little bit more familiar with, allows her to be a little bit more creative. And talk about a player for this Hokie team. Taylor Lewin, I mean, every time she steps out onto the pitch, she's so explosive. And keep in mind, she had a very important goal against UNC.
Scored in back-to-back games against North Carolina and William and Mary. So her first career start earlier this season against VCU. Just a sophomore for the Hokies, one of the key returners for Chugger Adair this year. Plus it helps when you can bring back a player that played a lot of minutes in that NCAA tournament run a year ago. Hokies went all the way to the Sweet 16. We're falling to the Duke Blue Devils 1-0 down in Durham. Obviously, every team has their sights set high on the NCAA tournament. Kind of a misleading story that the ACC tournament takes just 6 teams, but the NCAA tournament is really the goal for all these teams.
It's much different compared to a lot of the other conferences where they put a lot of stock into the conference tournament. But, you know, as we saw from the success that the ACC had in the NCAA tournament, in fact, the Final Four was all ACC teams. And I think a lot of that goes to the fact that they get a little bit extra rest, so they're fresh going into that NCAA tournament. If you're a team that doesn't make it into the ACC tournament but qualifies for the NCAA tournament, that's extra rest for your team.
And that's always good when you get extra rest in the long season that these teams play. An NC State team that has not made the ACC tournament since 2019. However, they did go to the NCAA tournament back in 2022, an at-large bid for the Wolfpack. Kind of interesting, a team that finishes 11th in the conference and still makes the NCAA tournament as an 8 seed. Meanwhile, for the Hokies, 14 career appearances in the NCAA tournaments. The Hokies have never won the ACC tournament outright. They've been the runners-up twice. Bertapas just picks it up. Brooklyn Holt on the near side. Sims just loses it out of play, and it will go to Virginia Tech. Well, we'll talk more about the ACC tournament at halftime, so stick with us here on the ACC Network Extra. So far through the first 35 minutes, NC State leads 1-0, thanks to the lone goal from Jade Bordelot. Just 5 combined shots by these two teams. Only one of which a shot on goal, and it was our goal. The Wolfpack Junior.
Again, I think Virginia Tech is making this a little bit too easy for NC State. All of their plays extremely predictable.
Sims just loses it on the slide tackle, and Patchen gets up. Nice shifty play by the freshman out of Ohio.
And that was just a perfectly timed tackle by Hannah Patchen. Fantastic defending on her part, recognizing the threat that Sims was providing there.
Late whistle from our referee, Brandon Gardner. And this was the tackle by Hannah Patchen.
And look at that change of pace by Sims. That's what makes her absolutely so dangerous. The way that she can freeze, pause her defender, and that accelerated pace. But Hannah Patchen does a great job of matching her foot for foot and ends up coming up with a fantastic slide tackle. Well-timed, fantastic play by her.
A player that garnered high praise from her head coach, Chugger Adair, when talking with the head man leading into this matchup.
She plays with such a level of sophistication. Her IQ and her awareness on the field is absolutely phenomenal. And I'll tell you what was exciting was watching her play alongside Eliana Salama. The two of them are very similar in their styles. Salama is such a creative player. And it's unfortunate, as I said, Salama's out with a season injury, but the two of them is going to be very dynamic. It's going to be fun to watch them play in the future, but Hannah Patchen has played well beyond her years. I mean, you would never think by the way that she's playing that she's a freshman. She's been absolutely fantastic for this team.
4 goals for Patchen, 4 goals for Salama. It's going to be fun to watch the senior. A transfer from SMU does have redshirt eligibility if she chooses to use it. So those two could link up for a 2026 season in Blacksburg. Late collision inside the box. And a Hokie player goes down. It's Hannah Patchen.
And just that fierce competitiveness. I mean, you can see she has that killer instinct. She wants to get a goal for her team. Just that competitive spirit.
Referee has the yellow card out. I don't know if he showed it to anyone or not. There it is. So Patchen gets the yellow card. Another look at it. What do you see, Tori?
That was a late tackle from behind, no doubt. I mean, tough effort, but there's no ball in the area vicinity of the player. Player gets taken down from behind. It's an easy yellow for the referee.
Kendall D'Amelio newly checked into the game, seeing her first touch. Tripped up in the box. And a foul will set up an opportunity for Virginia Tech. Let's see the defender, Mackenzie Smith, in disbelief. And it's going to be a penalty kick for Virginia Tech. So Taylor Lewin, a PK opportunity. First of the season for Virginia Tech. Huge opportunity for the equalizer. Here in the 39th minute of play. 0 for 2 a year ago. Lewin's already got 2 goals on the season, looking for a third. One-on-one with Pritapis. Here's the PK, and she scores, top corner. Taylor Lewin wins the one-on-one PK opportunity, and we are tied in Blacksburg.
Let's take another look at how we got here. How did we get to the PK in the first place? So you can see balls coming across into Patchen. She's trying to get her foot on it, and it's Mackenzie Smith that has a little trip up. And then it's Taylor Lewin who puts the Hokies on the board with an absolutely impeccable penalty kick, upper left-hand corner. No shot for Pritapis to get her hands on that. And let me tell you, that's a goal that this team really needs. And it's unfortunate for NC State because it's a similar feeling where, you know, they were up on Florida State, you know, ended up giving it away, 33 seconds to go in the match. And here we are, we're seeing similar situation. They were up, makes a silly mistake, but good for this Virginia Tech team. I mean, especially on the home turf. You got to win the games when you can, especially at home.
So Taylor Lewin's first career penalty kick opportunity, and she converts on it in the 39th minutes. And the sophomore out of Lawrenceville, Georgia, has her 3rd goal of the campaign. And this game is all knotted up here from Thompson Fields.
And this is exactly the type of breath that this Virginia Tech teams, they need a little bit of life, a little bit of resurgency in them. You could kind of feel them feeling down on themselves, especially at home. You never like to be behind at a home field, but you can see they're playing with a little extra life at the moment. And I think it's really going to be key for them to keep pressing, especially in the final 6 minutes of this first half. And more importantly, making sure that they're minimizing their opportunities for this Wolfpack team to get in against them.
Just under 6 minutes to play here in half number 1. Wolfpack looking for a response. Here's Aoki. Brooklyn Holt keeping the pressure on the defender. Over to the goal scorer in Bordelot. Huge boot from Robertson to the other side of the field. And Tori, how big was that PK goal for Virginia Tech in terms of momentum before halftime?
Oh, huge. I mean, going into the locker room tied 1-1, such a different feeling than going into the locker room down a goal. That was absolutely huge for them. Huge. And well-timed by Hannah Patchen. Whether that was a deliberate fall or she actually, you know, was acting, it was perfectly timed. That's just a heads-up soccer play from her.
And beauty is you might never know, especially with the conditions on that side of the field, the slipperiness, the water.
She could have maybe done a little extra roll around. No, I'm kidding.
You wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10 in the acting class?
Hey, I think if she had had more rolling, she probably wouldn't have gotten the call. The fact that she just kind of fell looked a little less of a flop. It looked a little bit more legit, like she got pushed. So I think what she did was perfect.
And it resulted in a Hokie goal in the 39th minute. Her teammate Taylor Lewin netting it.
And what about Lewin's approach, man? I mean, that's intimidating. Big steps back, long pause, wait. I mean, at that point, she certainly had to be in Protopis' head.
I was going to say the stare down. They both
The
just waited and
stare
just
down,
looked
I
at
know,
each
yeah.
other. Then Lewin gave it the run-up. Did you ever take any PKs in your career?
Absolutely, yeah.
What was your strategy for? Where were you aiming on the PK opportunities?
I was always lower left. That was me every time. Lower left. They always tell you don't change it. Just get really good at putting it in the right spot.
Now our referee and Brandon Gardner will issue a yellow card to Coach Gary Higgins. So Gary Higgins, the first-year head coach, exchanging some words with our referee, and he will now be given a yellow card. Still trying to plead his case with our referee, but it will be the second yellow card against the Wolfpack. Aoki got one in the 6th minute. Now Coach Higgins will get the team's 17th yellow card on the season. That leads the ACC in terms of yellow cards. So the free kick for the Wolfpack after the yellow card. Sent into the box, and it goes right to the boot of Leidecker. Keeping the pressure on is Nakata. Coming out of nowhere to break it up, Kendall D'Amelio. Virginia Tech on the throw-in. So 3 yellow cards, 5 combined fouls, and 2 goals so far in this match. Goes right into the gloves of Protopis. Three minutes to go before half.
Well, this is really smart. I'm watching this right now, and it's interesting where they have shifted Jade Bordelot. They've slid her out to the right-hand side, and in the 9, that high position, they have put Antonella Massiotto, who's done a fantastic job. But I think they're recognizing the 1v1 opportunity with Jade Bordelot against Ellie Robertson on this right-hand side. Robertson's a tough defender. However, under pressure, she has caused some turnovers. So I think that's a very smart decision. Coaching recognizing where that 1v1 matchup is going to be. You can just see the size difference between Bordelot and Robertson. Bordelot little bit taller than Robertson. So that's a 1v1 matchup that I would keep your eye on as the night goes on.
Bordelot at 5'8" and Robertson at 5'3". Especially when you have an experienced striker already with 6 goals on the season and somewhat of an inexperienced freshman who's still getting that experience in the collegiate game. Does help that Robertson was a 3-time New Jersey State champion with Rutgers Prep out in the Garden States.
Well, and something else to keep your eye on is right now, Robertson really needs to be balanced back. When the ball goes on that far right-hand side, there's a term in soccer we call pressure, cover, balance. So first person on the ball is pressuring, second person's covering. And as your back line, that third person needs to be in a balanced position. She's a little bit high on the field at the time. And what that's doing is creating space, pocket in that far corner for them to find Bordelot running onto the ball. If she gets it, that's a 1v1 opportunity.
Corner kick for the Hokies. Lewin sends it in, and it's headed away by Aoki. Final minute of the first half. Collision along the far side. Momentum stays with the Wolfpack. Evenly matched first 45 minutes between NC State and Virginia Tech. Wolfpack got on the board in the 24th minutes, and then the Hokies responded 15 minutes later on the PK opportunity. One-one as we've hit the halftime break between NC State and Virginia Tech. We're now joined by the 15th-year head coach of Zaway from getting a clean sheet against a program that has scored in each of their last 63 matches. But Jade Bordelot with an 81st minute penalty kick, and then in the last minute of regulation, it was Hudson for the Seminoles to force a 1-1 draw down in Raleigh, North Carolina. Well, here we go, second half in Blacksburg, Virginia. We head just up north of Raleigh. It's the Wolfpack and the Hokies, 1-1 here in the second half. Braden Shank, Tori Watson with you. So glad you can be with us on the ACC Network Extra. A game that was set to kick off at 7 o'clock on the East Coast. Well, we had about a 2-hour, 15-minute rain delay, and we still got it going, 9:15 on the East Coast. Fans stuck it out. They filed back into Thompson Fields. It was a wet pitch out there. Teams have done a good job of adjusting to that. As we hit the final 45, here's Erica Roberts on the near side. Takes the shot on the ground, and the ground ball stopped by Lauren Hargrove.
I think it's going to take NC State a minute offensively to adjust to the water on this end of the field. Same thing for Virginia Tech. They haven't really been exposed, their defense, to the water on this side of the field, so the ball's kind of skipping. It's getting stuck in moments. That's one thing they're going to try to do, is stay out of those areas and play more in those wide spaces.
You got to keep in mind, NC State, they warmed up on that side of the field. They have a little familiarity to that side of the field. Tori, you think that's going to play any factor into it, the ability that they could warm up on that side of the field?
I mean, certainly they've got a little bit more of advantage of that. But I think for this Virginia Tech team, it's continuing to attack in those wide spaces.
This one just hits off of an NC State player. Corner kick for the Hokies. Third corner kick look for Tech in the game, and it starts with Hannah Patchen, who will make her way into the corner. 60-second corner kick on the season for Virginia Tech. Huge opportunity for the Hokies to strike early in the second half. Patchen into the box. Just overshooting Marshall. Able to clear it out is Moore. On the ground, and Pretapis comes out to slide and stop it.
And that was just a great look, the way that the Virginia Tech team swung the ball around all the way across to the other field. And then that hard service again. You can see Patchen plays that hard ball on the ground. Natalie Mitchell just trying to put it away. Perfectly timed. That's the type of pace that this Virginia Tech team is going to have to play it more consistently if they want to catch this Wolfpack team on their heels.
Pretapis, a 71.8 save percentage, a player that is very strong protecting the pipes for the Wolfpack. Started her career with the Louisville Cardinals, played her first 2 years out in Kentucky before transferring to Raleigh 3 years ago, and now in her 5th year of collegiate soccer. Very experienced netminer for the Wolfpack.
And you can see that Virginia Tech is just trying to play those balls split between those defenders, and twice NC State has been able to scoop those up.
Into the corner with it. Crafty play by the Wolfpack. Tries to center it, gets it over to Roberts. Erica Roberts, the transfer from East Carolina. Took the move over when her head coach took the job with the Wolfpack this offseason. One of 2 transfers from East Carolina to NC State this offseason. One of 5 total transfers on this club from Raleigh. There's Natalie Mitchell the other way. Tries the through ball to Taylor Price. She's onside. Price tries the chip over to Weir, and it will go out of play.
And that was a good look by this Virginia Tech team, maintaining possession, being able to change the point of attack, and then work it back into the corner.
Price going one-on-one with Aoki. Loops this one up over the crossbar, and it will be a goal kick.
Again, this is where I would be talking to my team about trying to play those low-driven balls as hard as you can across inside the 18. Drive the ball down to the end line and slot it back on top of the 18, close to the 6, the penalty yard box. When you do that, it's going to draw the goalkeeper over, the defense over. It creates the space, the opportunity to finish on that back post.
D'Amelio with the touch. Hokies trying to get that final touch with it and take their first lead of the ball game. Patchen chips it on over to Natalie Mitchell. Tied for the team lead with 4 goals. Struck for the only goal against Wake Forest in the team's last match. Patchen goes just wide.
And you can see, I think Patchen meant for that one to be a little bit more on frame. But you can see the frustration on this team. I mean, this Hokie team, they've got a lot of creativity in that front runner. It's just the execution in that final third, that final pass that they're struggling with at the moment.
Just the 8th combined shot between these teams. Both of these teams had successful non-cons, but since transferring to ACC play, just averaging 8 shots per game. And Tori, both coaches really stress the importance of the limited opportunities. Well, what does that do to the limited opportunities in conference play?
You know, I think it's just a matter of like continuing to put pressure on them. I mean, the unique thing about Virginia Tech, they have actually outshot their opponents in the second half. That is one of the stats that they lead in, and I think we're seeing a little bit of that tonight. I think part of it is a matter of like you can't wait to second half to show up. You've got to be able to come out with that type of intensity right from the start. I'm not suggesting that they don't play with intensity, but at the same time, they found themselves in positions where they're on their heels in the second half. I'm up here in the press box, and I can hear Coach Chugger screaming to them, get it out, get it out. And that's where they can't take any risks. They've got to have some strong clearances out of that back line.
And a little trip up, referee will reach into the pocket and issue a yellow card. This one going against the Wolfpack. Alex Moore on the defensive end. 3rd yellow card against the Wolfpack.
You can see Anna Weir just a bit frustrated. She was dribbling with the ball at her feet, and she gets taken down from behind. This is an excellent opportunity for this Hokies team, and here's a look at it. You can see there's the shirt pull. That's what she's frustrated about, that little shirt pull right there.
So the 4th yellow card in this match, 3rd against the Wolfpack. Free kick for Mitchell. On Cage, and this one goes in. Natalie Mitchell strikes from distance, and the Hokies take the lead.
And once again, she rises to the top for this Virginia Tech team, and that's exactly what they needed. Being able to capitalize on this moment in front of the net. Just that veteran, been there before experience. She's able to keep that low-driven ball to that far left-hand side, making it really difficult for Protopis to get all the way across to it. It just skips right underneath her. Fantastic finish. Puts this Hokies team up, and that's what they need. They're still searching for their first set of points in this ACC conference.
Goals in back-to-back matches for the senior out of Temecula, California. 52nd minute, and she's now the sole leader in the goals department for the Hokies.
But listen, don't count this Wolfpack team out. I think if anything, you've just woken up a sleeping giant. I mean, this is a team that has shown lots of resilience, especially in how they've performed earlier against Notre Dame, against Florida State. This is a team that's going to be in there with it to the final minute when this game is over.
Well, Natalie Mitchell just accomplished a huge feat with Virginia Tech in her 5,000th career minutes. But a player that's really anchored the offensive front. Now the Hokies need to get something on the defensive front, as the Wolfpack is starting to threaten here. Throw in for Erica Roberts. Holtz chips this one up, and it's headed just wide and past the end line.
And Kylie Marshall was great to get in good position there. She had Jade Bordelot right on her shoulder. Good positioning, defensive positioning, using her body to shield it across. Great service here by Brooklyn Holt. She recognizes that far post, sees her target, Jade Bordelot, and it's Kylie Mitchell that just sends that one away.
So Marshall anchoring that defensive front, the junior out of Ashburn, Virginia. And now a corner kick for the Wolfpack. Hargrove punches it away with one hand. Whistle gives it to NC State. Lauren Hargrove able to field the position. And a big time save for the Richmond, Virginia native. Well, Lauren Hargrove, one of the best keepers in Virginia Tech history. 4th all-time in shutouts, 3rd all-time in the goals against average. You see her numbers this season. A player that's also played the 5th most all-time minutes between the pipes for Virginia Tech. How big is it, Tori, to bring a player like Hargrove back for the 2025 season?
I mean, it's huge, especially, you know, just her veteran ability, just her familiarity with the team, the coaching, especially on the heels of such a successful season last year. You know, goalkeeping, that is an area that you want to have a strong player. I mean, you don't expect goalkeepers to win games for you, but you certainly expect them to keep you in those games, and she has done that time and time again for this Virginia Tech team.
The graduate student out of Richmond, Virginia, head coach Chugger Adair talked about how Hargrove going to vet school and deciding to play soccer this year during the offseason, and a big-time addition for Virginia Tech after a stellar season last year. 64 saves last year, a 79 save percentage. Part of that magical run for the Hokies all the way to the Sweet 16. Now back for her last dance with Virginia Tech. Offsides against the Hokies. Pushing the tempo a little too fast on it, and will be the 4th offsides going against Virginia Tech. 10 minutes gone in the second half. Hokies have already struck for a goal in half number 2 thanks to Natalie Mitchell. Now the Wolfpack will try to find a response. The Virginia Tech team still searching for their first points in the ACC part of the schedule. 0-3 thus far for Chugger Adair's team. Meanwhile, NC State 1-1-1 in their 3 matches. Trying to continue and put a bow on their masterful month of September. We are trying to track it down. Protopis will just boot it out of play.
You can see the organization by this Wolfpack team, just the clean lines defensively, the pressure cover around as one player gets beat, the second player is able to slide over and provide that support. That's why this team is so successful defensively. They've spent a lot of time this year working on that defensive shape and making sure that they're connected.
Shot on the ground, Protopis able to fall on it.
And that was a nice little look there. You see Taylor Price just breaking that line, able to come across. Unfortunately, passes it right into the hands of Protopis.
Goalkeeper boots it away. Taylor Price adding a shot to her resume here tonight. 5th shot by the Hokies thus far. Still the Wolfpack out shooting the Hokies 6-5.
And take a look at the shape that NC State's in offensively. They're stretching this Virginia Tech team really wide. They're anchoring players far on the left and the right-hand side. It's stretching that defense, that back line out a little bit, creating some channels for them to play into.
Bordelot in the box. Tried to chip it on over to Duda. Shot on the ground, and it's stopped by Hargrove.
And Duda was wide open, and that's what you get with Jade Bordelot. She holds up play. She's able to lay the ball back, get players into the attack, numbers into the attack.
Toppis way out of her jurisdiction. Keeps it in the midfield. And talk, Tori, about NC State stretching out the offense. How can Virginia Tech combat that?
I think for them, they've got to put a little bit more pressure. They're sitting back a little too much for my liking. I think offensively, when they win possession of the ball, they've got to do a better job of showing on the outlets wide and then getting combination players around them. They're just like a half a step off with that decision making and their checks.
Short little pass. This one stopped by the defensive likes of Smith. It's Anna Weir who was trying to get the look on it. Headed just wide off of Taylor Price and into the gloves of Protopis. Well, Virginia Tech starting to pick up the momentum and the pace on the offense.
I think sometimes Virginia Tech is, because they do feel the pressure, they're just getting in this hurry up and go mentality. Sometimes they're giving the ball away unnecessarily when they could take time, relax, keep possession of it.
Bordelot takes a hard tackle on it. Right there to keep the pressure on is Sims. Tries to center it, and Hargrove comes out to make the stop.
And that was a big-time save for Hargroves because you had a player on the back post that was flying in, wanting to get a head or a foot on it.
Lauren Hargrove protecting her box. Save number 2 on the match for Hargrove. It feels like, Tori, the pace is starting to pick up in this match here in the 59th minute.
You know, Virginia Tech wants to do the press, which I think they're very successful at, is causing turnovers, but they've got to be a little bit more compact. There's some big gaps between that back line and the midfield. If they're going to press as a team, they've got to make sure that they're closing those gaps and they stay connected.
A Tech team that scored the last 2 goals in this match. Wolfpack took a 1-0 lead thanks to Jade Bordelot in the 24th minute. But since then, Taylor Lewin with a 39th minute goal and Natalie Mitchell with the go-ahead goal in the 52nd minute so far.
I'll tell you what, Emily Wong has been absolutely fantastic for this Wolfpack team defensively. She's been very patient. We just saw her again win another ball to her feet. She anticipates exactly where Virginia Tech's going to pass it, and she comes up with it time and time again.
Nikita sends this one, and it will go into the cage. How about Nikita with the Hail Mary of a shot, and we are tied once again in Blacksburg.
And Mana Nakata, absolutely phenomenal soccer IQ, gets her heads up, recognizes that Lauren Hargroves is off of her line. Brilliant soccer awareness, just chips the ball into the back right-hand side of the goal. Here's another look at that, and you can see Mana Nakata gets her head up. She recognizes, look at that floating ball, absolutely precision on it. That's just a heads-up play right there. We've got ourselves a ball game.
Nakata, her first goal of the season for the Osaka, Japan native. And the sophomore with a miraculous goal. And you can't place it any better than that right there. 30 minutes to play, and it is a brand new game for these two clubs.
There's a lot of soccer left to be played in this half. I mean, little under 30 minutes. It's anybody's ball game. It really is. Again, it's just going to come down to which team wants it more, which team is going to empty the tank, which team is going to fight for one another.
Third career goal for Nakata. Her first since last season. A year ago, struck against VCU and Cal. But just a big-time goal for NC State.
You can see that, Virginia Tech's having a really hard time of figuring out who are the open players and who to find feet to. All of their passes are gone laterally or backwards. That, again, is the sign that a team is defending you well. And NC State, again, coming up with a turnover, been able to dispossess Virginia Tech time and time again. They're just having a hard time trying to figure out how to unlock this Wolfpack defense. And I think a lot of that just goes to the patience and the discipline that this NC State team has displayed time and time again this evening.
Nakata scored that last goal. Short little pass over to Aoki. She'll take it into the box. Now Taylor Lewin in the midfields.
Hold the ball! You two keep giving away so easy.
Someone just tiptoeing on the line, but stays in. Now the Hokies will try to push the tempo.
And that's a nice transition there. Patchen finding her on the outside.
Robertson just chipping back to Buto. Now Hannah Patchen. 2-2 our score. Final 30 minutes to play between NC State and Virginia Tech. Hannah Weir with some space. Over to Natalie Mitchell. Finds Patchen on the set piece with some space to the shot, and she scores! Hannah Patchen with the go-ahead goal, and the Hokies back on top, 3-2.
And what a combination play between Natalie Mitchell and Hannah Patchen. Just that combination work, that little 1-2 pass gets Patchen in behind that defense for the 1v1 against Patapis. Absolutely phenomenal work by this Virginia Tech team. And here it is, Natalie Mitchell sets her up. You can see they're asking for the ball on top, and Patchen, little touch, it freezes the NC State defender, and you can see the frustration on Patapis. Just a nice little touch and an easy finish for her. This is exactly what Virginia Tech needs at this time in the game.
The 5th goal of the season for the freshman phenom known as Hannah Patchen out of Uniontown, Ohio. Right after Natalie Mitchell took sole possession of the team's lead in goals, Hannah Patchen struck for her 5th to now tie Mitchell atop the team's leader.
But look at how quickly this Wolfpack team has responded. I mean, now we find Virginia Tech in a position where they're defending for their life against what is a threatening corner kick.
Be aware, Julia. Watch the keeper. Watch the pick.
3rd corner kick for the Wolfpack.
Get up. Get up.
Top of the box, here's Roberts. She shoots, and this one is just booted up over the crossbar. Was looking for that final touch by Mary Frances Sims, but the junior just trajects it a little bit high.
And Sims is just floating back there. I don't know how she wasn't offsides. I'm not sure which defender was keeping her on. I don't see a defender in my frame, but that was a close call there for Virginia Tech.
Now the Hokies will try moving it the other way. Here's Kendall D'Amelio with some speed to Anna Weir. Weir punches this one just wide, and it will go out past the end line.
A good idea. I like the quick transition. I think Virginia Tech needs to do more of that if they want to continue to catch North NC State on their heels. Just have to have better selection inside the 18. Shot selection needs to be a little bit more on frame, on target.
Well, Chugger Adair and Virginia Tech searching for their first victory in the month of September. Over the last 5 for Virginia Tech, no wins, 4 losses, and 1 tie. A team that's picked up just 1 win over their last 8 matches. They could strike for a big 3 points here in their 4th match of ACC conference play.
And they need this win, because when you take a look ahead of who they've got Virginia at Virginia, and they're playing Stanford at Stanford, and then Cal, followed by Duke, Notre Dame, and Miami. But let me just say, they need this win at home. They need to pick up the points where they can, because the road ahead of them just gets harder.
I mean, can you play a harder slate of games than facing the top 3 teams in the country in a 5-game span?
It's tough, but you know what? I think this Virginia Tech team has the pieces to it. I think they just, as a team, they need to remember who they are and what their identity is and just stay calm. I mean, I think there's been moments where they've played a little bit of panic ball. I think they just need to do a better job of taking care of the ball and making sure they have numbers around so they can combine with one another. That's a perfect example, just where the passes are not going right to feet. It's just a little off. It's just the precision, that execution needs to get cleaned up in the next couple of weeks.
And Hokies have hung around their last 5 games, all 5 of which determined by 1 goal or less. Just have been on the wrong side of them in the month of September.
One thing you can always expect from Chugger Adair's teams is they're going to be gritty. They're going to be physical, and they're going to be gritty, and they're going to have a tremendous amount of resilience. And it never fails that as the season goes on, they just keep getting better and better and better. They're the kind of team that hangs around. They're always there in the background. They're the kind of team you don't want to play against because they can knock you off any day. I mean, they're a tough team, and I think, you know, the same is for this year. They're a tough team, and I think this team's going to only continue to get better and better and settle in as the conference goes on and hopefully into postseason play.
I mean, last year was a perfect example of that. They sneak into the ACC tournament as the 5 seed. They lose in the first round to North Carolina, but then they go on that magical run in the NCAA tournament, beat Tennessee in the first round. They beat Iowa in the second round. They fall to Duke in the Sweet 16. They also had a win against UCLA in the middle before that Duke match. So it was a good run for Virginia Tech a year ago, but it all started with hanging around in those matches and finishing the season strong.
You know, I believe this to be true. Like, you can be a number 1, 2, 3, 6, 10 team. The rankings don't mean anything. What really matters is how you finish. Because you can be the number 1 team, but if you finish last in your conference or you get knocked out of the NCAA play first round, what difference did that ranking make? All that matters is where you finish. And so I think that's the narrative for this Virginia Tech team. That's the narrative for this NC State team. Don't get hung up on the rankings. Just keep doing what you're doing. Focus on the process. But at the same time, I will say, I think especially for this Virginia Tech team, they are at an inflection point in their season. They've got to start getting some results if they want to be included in the conversation for the NCAA tournament.
Great job, Annalena. Hang on, Ellie. Ellie.
This would be a big momentum shifter for Virginia Tech.
Runners, stay with them.
Tries the centering pass, and this one will go just wide. A year ago, it was Wake Forest, Stanford, Duke, and North Carolina in the College Cup. 4 teams out of the ACC, and the Hokies will play all 4 teams this year. They've already fell to North Carolina 2-1, and they have 3 out of those 4 teams coming up in their next 5 matches. So as Tori mentioned, it is go time for Virginia Tech here on this Saturday night from Thompson Fields. Hokies with a 1-goal lead, 21 minutes to play. Aggressive play in the midfield. Ball will go to NC State's. And this one's shot and goes in. How about the Wolfpack from distance once again?
I mean, just an absolutely phenomenal finish from the outside. You can see, I think Virginia Tech is trying to kind of figure out what happened. I mean, players left loose in the center of the field, and she strikes in, and what a phenomenal strike that was. Again, this is an NC State team that's just not going to go away. They're not going to roll over and say die. They have a belief in themselves, and you can see there's the quick restart, and it's just that shot from Lydecker. Absolutely phenomenal finish. And we have ourselves a tie match.
Blink and you will miss it. Second goal of the season for Lydecker, the sophomore out of the Netherlands, with her second goal of the season. Wolfpack trying to get more with it. Mary Frances Sims in a brand new tied game with 20 minutes and some change to play. Well, it was the Wolfpack that struck to make it 1-0. Hokies responded to tie it. They took a lead of their own at 2-1. And the Hokies with a 3-2 lead, and now the Wolfpack now knotting us up at 3 apiece. And it's interesting, Tori, when you look at the 3 goal scorers for NC State, and Jade Bordelot, you've got Nakaida, and you've got the most recent one in Leidecker, all of which international players for the Wolfpack, 3 of 11 total international players for NC State. And how big is that for a team that's still trying to establish an identity under a first-year head coach?
I think it's incredible. I mean, just the type of experience that you get. I mean, the type of play in each of those countries is a little bit different. And so you're just adding different dimensions to your teams. And not only that, but personalities. And I think that's one of the reasons why Coach Higgins has had so much success is just, you know, how they focused on becoming a family. When you've got that many international players, you've got to create that family environment for them because they can't go home, right?
Bordelot takes the shot, stopped by Hargrove. Jade Bordelot, a Canadian on this Wolfpack team. She already struck for the first goal, was looking for another. But 11 total international players, second most in the ACC by the Wolfpack.
And here's another look. Jade Bordelot just given a little bit of room to run, and you can see nobody's got a clean pickup on her. She is not the kind of player you can have a forward running loose inside the box.
Aoki retreats it back to the goalkeeper, Pertapas. It has just been a back and forth match, punch for punch.
So what's really incredible to sit here and think about is that in the last 20-ish minutes, we've had 4 goals scored.
Yeah.
4 goals scored.
We saw 2 in the first 40 minutes.
It's been absolutely incredible match to watch these two teams, as we knew it would, you know, especially given the environment, the rain delay.
I was going to ask, do you think the rain delay factored into that, the slow start from both teams?
You know, honestly, I think NC State, in my opinion, looked a little bit more ready to play than Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech looks tired to me, and I'm watching them, and they're a strong team, but they just a little, to me, when I'm looking at them defensively, they look a little unsure of themselves. They're not quite as organized as this Wolfpack team is defensively, and I think it's showing out there. There's a little bit of hesitancy when they step and where their cover is supposed to step. And I think NC State's doing a phenomenal job of exploiting that.
Moore will pitch it back to the goalkeeper, Pertapas. 6 combined goals by these two clubs. 19 combined shots, just 7 of which on nets. Here's an opportunity for Bordelot. She can be dangerous. Bordelot takes the shot, goes just high over the crossbar.
But you have to pay attention. Again, the organization, you've got Virginia Tech players that aren't really marking up. So, for example, Leidecker is running loose, and she is already a player that has proven that she is dangerous on the run, but she's running freely through the middle of the field. There's a little bit of confusion from this Hokie team about that pressure cover. One player slides over to assist in that defending, and there's the NC State player exploiting that space that they've just left. So they've got to clean that up defensively.
And Tori, it was the 3rd shot for Bordelot. Do you think she's just waiting to explode for a second goal?
Listen, you can tell she's got a high IQ because she is recognizing which spaces are available, the open space, and she's exploiting those pockets.
Struck for the first goal in the 24th minute. It was her 6th of the season. Top 10 in the ACC in the goals departments. Here's some space for the Wolfpack. Tried to center it up to Duda. Pressure applied from Wong. Duda just hits the ground on it, and it will be cleared out to the midfields. 2 evenly matched teams. We knew that coming into it, and it has been a back and forth match all night long.
We heard Coach Higgins talk about how they really wanted to try to isolate play to Natalie Mitchell, and I think they've done an excellent job of that. They recognize that that is one of the players that Virginia Tech likes to key off. She is their playmaker, and they've done a pretty good job of eliminating her. They've made it very difficult for her to find her teammates.
Price tries to chip it off to Lewin, instead broken up by the Wolfpack. Here's Aoki. Sends it just past the freshman, Tepes. Just over 15 minutes to play between the Wolfpack and the Hokies. Goes to that far wing. Sims losing the defender on it. Takes the shot, and Hargrove will escort it out.
And that was a deadly ball played across by NC State, playing in and behind the Virginia Tech player. Absolutely perfectly timed precision on that. And here comes the look. You can see Duda just recognizes it, plays that ball in and behind the Virginia Tech player. Sims is running on back post. That is a dangerous ball. That's a tough ball to defend.
And it feels like, Tori, one mistake could hurt either of these teams. It really feels like that next strike is going to be the big one.
Well, and I think we've seen it all night long. I mean, each team has really worked to find their opponent's weakness and then capitalize on it.
Grabbing going on that far side. Ref lets them play on.
The fact that we have a 3-3 game right now demonstrates
sides and unable to do so.
It just demonstrates the fight that both of these teams have. I mean, here we are, ACC match 3-3. That's just unbelievable.
Wolfpack have only surrendered 3 goals throughout the entire month of September over their last 5. And they've only scored 7 goals in the 5 matches in September. It's the second most goals that the Wolfpack have scored in a game this year. The Hokies with some opportunities on the ground, stopped by Protopis. The only time they struck for more goals was 4 against Campbell, but just their 3rd multi-goal effort of the season.
And you can recognize what a threat this Wolfpack team sees in Natalie Mitchell as she's dribbling that ball to goal. She had 3 black jerseys chasing after her, making it exceptionally hard for her to get a good finish on that one.
Scored a goal earlier in the match in the 52nd minutes. Rango broken up by Leidecker. This one goes out of play and will go to NC State's. Entire Wolfpack bench all fired up.
Again, that's just a tough turnover by Robertson. Virginia Tech maintaining possession, moving it around, and then Robertson just coughs the ball up. That's a tough turnover for Virginia Tech.
See Morale good on the bench. High after a rain delay. The rain has stopped after nearly 4 hours of raining. And it helps when you've seen the offensive explosion that we've seen. 6 combined goals. Bordelot with some space on the far wing. Stays with it. Tries to center it. Finds a receiver on the ground, stopped by Hargrove.
And Duda does a really good job to check back up on top of the 18 to get that one-touch shot off.
It really feels like, Tori, Bordelot and Duda have been quite the 1-2 duo for NC State so far tonight.
We've seen a lot of combination play out of this Wolfpack team. We've seen some good efforts between Bordelot and Sims, Duda. Erica Roberts has had some great combinations, overlapping runs.
A sub will come in for Virginia Tech. Here's Kendall D'Amelio in the place of Samantha de Guzman. D'Amelio, the senior out of Ashburn, Virginia. 11th match she's played in this year. So the referee stops the clock for the substitution. Coming up on the 11 o'clock hour on the East Coast. Nothing like some late night soccer. Into the box. Pritapas loses the footing on it, but kicked away by the NC State defense. Nearly a bad break for the Wolfpack. But nonetheless, it will stay with the Hokies. Into the box. One goes all the way downfield. Hargrove trying to engineer the offense. Goalkeeper gets it on up to Marshall.
And you can just sense the urgency that both of these teams are playing with at the moment. There's little more than 10 minutes left in the game, and both teams desperately trying to walk out of here with 3 points instead of satisfying for just one. And you can just sense that urgency as both teams are pressing hard, trying to take some offensive risks.
And on paper, it's just a 2-point difference. But when you look at these two teams, how big is it to pick up the win compared to the tie?
Well, I think for both teams. I mean, NC State's kind of middle of the pack at the moment, so a 3-point would be huge for them. For Virginia Tech, they've got a big old goose egg. They don't have a single point for ACC, and as we mentioned, the road ahead of them is difficult. Trying to get wins on the road is hard, much less against opponents like Virginia and Stanford. So I think they got to do everything they can to close tonight out with a W.
We'll see which team can play the best in the final 10 minutes. It's crunch time from Thompson Field, tied at 3 apiece, the Wolfpack and the Hokies. Virginia Tech still searching for their first win in the month of September. Wolfpack have picked up points in 4 out of their last 5. The team that took down SMU last week for their first ACC road win since 2022, looking to make it 2 in the last 2 weeks, but they need a big goal here in the final 10. There's Tech on the offense. Move it over to the near sides. Trying to get it to Mitchell. Now the other way, Daisy Duda. Tries to get it to Bordelou, instead punched loose.
And that was a good idea. I could see where she wanted to go with it. She was hoping to slip that ball in and behind, allowing Jordan Bordelou to run onto it. Just mishit that one, but it was a nice idea.
And the Wolfpack stay on the offense. NC State out shooting the Hokies 14-9 on the night, 10-6 in the second half. Erica Roberts will try to keep that trend going with the Wolfpack. And Daisy Duda will check out, heading to the bench. Bordelou with the cat and mouse game. Tries to center it in the box. Just past the reach of Roberts. And Lauren Hargrove will fall on it. Taylor Price finesses 2 defenders over to de Guzman. De Guzman stays with it, the junior Virginia native. Tries to center it, and it's kicked away by the defense of the Wolfpack. Tepes into the box. This one's headed, and it will go just over the crossbar on top of the nets.
And who else? None other than Natalie Mitchell right there in the center, trying to lift her team up and over this NC State team. Just a good effort there. Good cross high up. You can see there's the first effort and the second effort by Natalie Mitchell, saved by the post.
Well, they say aluminum is a goalie's best friend, and Olivia Pertapis feeling that right now in the 83rd minutes. So the Hokies staying on the offense. To the shot from Natalie Mitchell. Marengo looking to get it to Mitchell, and the referee will stop the clock. And he'll reach for the yellow card once again. Who's the guilty party?
Let's keep in mind that earlier this evening, we saw Virginia Tech capitalize on a similar opportunity about 10 yards closer in. So do they have it in them to convert something like this again? And here's another look at that foul. Ava Arenga going in, and it's just Sims coming in late, gets the clip there. No ball, all player. Good call by the referee.
So Mary Frances Sims issued the yellow card. It was the 52nd minute that Natalie Mitchell struck on the free kick. Can she do it again? Mitchell into the box. It's headed away. Goal is left exposed. And Aoki hits it off her own defender. Pressure applied by the Hokies. Marshall chips it into the box. Well, some miscommunication from the Wolfpack, but they will breathe a sigh of relief on it. The Hokies will regroup. Robertson on the far wing. This one just punted away by Moore. Tied at 3 apiece. Final 6 minutes from Thompson Field in Blacksburg, Virginia. Robertson, stopped by Pritapis. Just 2 saves registered to the day of Olivia Pritapis, and the reigning ACC Defensive Player of the Week. Commanding the posts and leading this defensive effort for the Wolfpack in what has been a back and forth, evenly matched match so far.
You got to wonder at this point, does each of these teams, do they have one last run in them?
Back to the keeper, Hargrove. Knocks it out to the midfields. To Guzman, tries to advance it to D'Amelio. Holt instead gets in the middle of it. Budo. Intercepted by Wong.
That's a good play by Bordelot. She recognizes she was offside, so she didn't make an effort to run towards it.
Was there any strategy for just letting that ball die in the corner than having the offsides calls?
I think she recognized that she had another player, Sims, that was trying to run onto it, so no sense in her getting the offsides call when she has another player that can take advantage.
Mitchell to Price, looking for the finishing touch, and Anna Weir puts it home. Anna Weir, the junior, coming up clutch in the final 5 minutes. Hokies lead.
And wow, what an absolute finish. I mean, just the timing of that run, the quality of the serve, the way it was hung up in the air. Absolutely fantastic finish, good organization, good composure, way to keep her calm, being able to execute it, put it in the back of the net. Here's another look at that serve. It's coming across. Taylor Price, she finds Anna Weir, perfectly finished. Pritapis caught off guard, you can see. And the Hokies go up. We've had so many lead changes. I mean, but every single time NC State has answered back, and you can see they're getting ready to do the same thing. They got all the players lined up to chase after this ball and put pressure on Virginia Tech. What a game it's been tonight. Just absolutely fantastic. So exciting, super competitive tonight.
Taylor Price served that one on a platter for her first assist of the season, and that is the player of the hour, Anna Weir, striking for goal number 5 on the season.
Look at all the black jerseys they've got. They're looking to press as many players forward as they can. They're going to go for the win. They're going to push as many players forward, do everything they can to put Virginia Tech under an immense amount of pressure and try to squeeze out one more goal.
It's really go time for the Wolfpack. They have their backs up against the wall.
For Virginia Tech, it's just a matter of, can you weather the storm for the next 3.5, 4 minutes left in this match? Making sure you're not making careless decisions. Defensively, every ball needs to be high, far, and wide, preferably down to the corner flags. It's all about clock management at this point in order to close this game out.
Tried to head it on over to Roberts. Hokies just have to watch the final 3:20 dwindle away, and they would pick up their first ACC win of the season. Meanwhile, NC State has those final 3 minutes and change to try to get an equalizer and come away with a point here on this Saturday night.
Again, I think there's a little too much space given to Ledecker. She's already proven herself to be extremely dangerous. I think that's a player you've got to sit in her pocket. She's already proven that she can score. Somebody's got to match up with her.
Lauren Hargrove on the goal kick. We were 1-1 at halftime. Since then, 5 goals here in the second half. And it has just been, it's like a pendulum, back and forth, back and forth.
Well, I think the other thing to keep in mind is that we've seen a lot of scoring because the quality of the game has improved second half. As the weather has subsided, the players, the field's dried out a little bit, not rained. We've seen the quality of soccer that's played has really improved, and I think that's what's led to so many offensive opportunities for both teams.
Keep in mind, a match that was scheduled to start at 7 o'clock on the East Coast, a 2-hour and 15-minute weather delay. Started us at 9:15. We're past the 11 o'clock here, after hours in the ACC. The Hokies stand just 2 minutes and some change away from their first ACC victory of the season before they take on the #1 team in the country next week at Charlottesville to take on the Wahoos of UVA.
And Virginia Tech doing a fantastic job of just trying to maintain possession. Again, clock management there. This is an uncomfortable feeling for this North Carolina, this NC State team. Played against Florida State. They were winning. 33 seconds left to go in the game, and Florida State got back into it. So they know that anything is possible. I think if anything, they walk out of that knowing anything's possible. Maybe they're the team that ends up scoring with the final 31 seconds. I know this Virginia Tech team is saying no thank you. They want to be able to close it out at home.
A Tech team that still has to play the #1, the #2, and the #3 team in the country over their next 5 matches.
This win is so important for them tonight, to be able to finish this game with a win and being able to go on the road feeling good about your play and just the competitiveness that they displayed. They've put together some combination work. A lot of positive building blocks come out of this match tonight.
Do the Wolfpack have one last strike in them before the clock strikes midnight? Final minutes on this Saturday night from Thompson. Toppus will have to come out in no man's lands. The Wolfpack need to pick the pace up. Clock will stop. Throwing for the Hokies. With a win would be the 5th of the season for Virginia Tech, their first in the ACC, and their first victory since the 31st of August. That was when they took down Campbell 5-1. Into the box. The shot, and this one goes in! Macioto, right before the clock strikes midnight. 9 seconds to go, and the sophomore ties us up.
I mean, what a game. I mean, this has just been a ping pong match all night long, but both of these teams have so much fight in them. And this North Carolina, this NC State team, especially after giving up the game, I mean, yes, they tied against Florida State, but to them it felt like a loss. Just the fight that they've had in this. Just look at this, 9 seconds to go. And it's Ledecker, or no, sorry, Macioto, who's able to put that away for them.
Well, what a match we were greeted to on this Saturday night. A 2+ hour rain delay. We start at 9:15, and how about 8 goals combined